This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.
Hey. Welcome. This is the Real Estate Podcast. I'm Harley Dufek. I'm here with my good buddy and basketball extraordinaire, Andrew Gaydosh.
What's up, Harley? How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing really, really good. I'm over here, in DC and just in my little podcast studio here. How have you been, man?
I love it. I'm good. I'm kind of camping out today here at the, we got a little satellite office at our lake community. And I was out here working this morning, so I popped in the office here. Sorry, the lighting's not the greatest, not in our normal studio, but no, that's great, man. I love your setup. That's cool.
Thanks. Yeah. I got the honey badgers back here. So
heck yeah, right. I'm looking forward to it.
So just a little background. So Andrew and I met at a mastermind in Aspen in 2013, and Mr. Gaydosh and his team, they're out of Dayton, Ohio, and they sell about 300 homes a year. And he's actually runs two teams in two different areas. One he calls it the Lake team, and then one in Dayton. Andrew's he's a player. He's 30 under 30. He was a guest speaker and at just different conventions like at Remax and NAR. And he's best known as a neighborhood mayor. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. And it's as seen on HGTV.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, thanks, Harley. I appreciate it. It's definitely been a fun ride, and you're right. I think it's been a few years since we originally met out in Aspen when you guys tried to kill me on the mountain that day, but I learned quickly. But it was all good. But yeah, thank you, man, for having me, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you. And you're correct. Yeah, our market's basically our primary market's Dayton, Ohio. We filter into northern Cincinnati. So if anybody's out there looking for any kind of real estate help in that northern Cincinnati, Dayton, and then we've got a little lake office that's out in Preble County, which is due west of Dayton, and it's a satellite community, almost like a resort community for the Dayton, Cincinnati area. So we've, as you know, I'm kind of a lake rat. I think my nickname, I don't know if you knew this or not, was Lake Boy. I mean, we that's kind of what we did for many, many years. That's all we did was sell lake houses, and have expanded over the years. Been doing it 25 years, started while I was at the University of Dayton, played basketball there, and hurt my ankle, and coach sent me home for the summer. And while I was there, my mother was thinking about getting into real estate. She's like, "Hey, listen, if you go with me, I'll pay for your test and your course. Just help me pass the test," because she hadn't been in school in a while. So we both got our license, and I actually started selling the minute I went back to Dayton. I started selling real estate around there while I was in school. It was really a pretty good opportunity, and that's all I've ever done.
So the burning question though is, where and when did the double bubble start?
Well, the double bubble started in about 1996, to be exact. We actually talked about this recently. So for those of you who don't know, I'm sure I've got some double bubbles around this office somewhere. I haven't been here in a while, but they're little hourglass looking shot glasses. So you pour the mixer on the bottom and then whatever you're drinking on the top, and you can kind of shoot it, and it's basically a mixer mixed in. So what happened was my buddy Mike Hauser, everybody knows him as Doogie, us older guys from Doogie Howser, right? He did the commercial packaging for Jack Daniels and brought the prototype back to the lake. And of course, we all did it. We were shooting them that night going, man, this is amazing. So it's stuck, and it's kind of our part of our lake culture now. I mean, the theme song we wrote, all that kind of stuff surrounding the lake all has the double bubble in it. So it's part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, if you're ever hanging out with Andrew or Drew, you got okay. Number one, this guy is a professional, like professional partier. So watch yourself around him. But he's going to give you his signature drink. It's the double bubble.
That's
So
right. You got to have at least one, right?
got to have at least one.
Yep.
So you started back then. So what year was that?
So
That you
this was
started
right
real
around
estate?
90. Well, when I graduated from UD, it was 94. So
Okay.
this would have been like 92 when we really started kind of ramping up. I didn't really get
Oh,
super busy. What happened was I was fortunate. I had a landscaping lawn business when I was growing up. Uh, had the kids in the neighborhood working for me and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool. So I raised quite a bit of money for school, and then I had a full ride to play at UD, University of Dayton. So
okay.
I had some money, and I started buying real estate while I was in college, and then renting back to some of my friends that were at school. So that kind of got me going in the initial part of it. And then, of course, the more you get into real estate, it's addictive. The more you want to keep going. So we just started expanding and moved back to Richmond, Indiana, which is about an hour away, right on the Indiana-Ohio border, and worked for a local broker for about 6 months, and then went out and bought a Remax franchise. And I had a Remax franchise for 10 years. Was a broker owner there. And then eventually, as we moved back, trying to get back to the Dayton area, I didn't really want to buy another franchise. And, that's something we can talk about later. There's some restrictions there on, how you can do and what you can do to expand your team to a larger market, and it was very frustrating. So I ended up selling the Remax franchise to a Realogy brand and had to work there for about 5 or 6 years, and then basically was heading independent until we heard about EXP, which just kind of changed our lives. But that's kind of the scenario of how we ended up here now.
So so when you moved back, is that when you got into the lake sales and
Yeah.
started to do that?
Right. So what happened was Richmond, Indiana is about 15 minutes away from Lake Lochengrin. Lake
Okay.
Lochengrin's in Ohio. Like I said, Richmond's right on the border. So my wife Dawn was still in school. We knew we were going to get married in a few years, and she was kind of finishing up. So I kind of just said, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna go home and live for a short period of time so I can find a lake house, buy a lake house, hold on to it for a few years until she graduates, enjoy the water because I'm a water rat." And that's how we really started focusing. So I really, to be honest with you, I sold in Richmond, Indiana for almost 10 years. We were number one agent in town and really did a good job there. And then the lake was always that satellite area that was 15, 20 minutes away, but that's where I lived and socialized and enjoyed. And we sold a hell of a lot of real estate, and we still do. We at one point there was about a 10-year run where we sold 100% of every waterfront home that sold. We had at least one side of it, and to this day we still maintain about a 70% market share in a community of about 1,600 homes. So it's a legitimate operation out there.
So okay, so yeah, it's a lot of questions on this. So that is definitely a microclimate market. What did you have a plan to take over the whole lake? I mean, was it like something you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
it's kind of funny. I mean, when you grow up super competitive like I am, like when most of us are, naturally that was the end game. I can't say that I really understood how we were going to do it. I didn't understand a lot of how we did it until we retrospect looked back and said, okay, this made sense. And we need to do more of it, or we need to add on and whatever. But sorry about my phone there. But the reality of what happened was I moved there because I like the water. And it's the first lesson for everybody is, enjoy what you do, align your focus with what you like in life. And for me, I loved selling waterfront homes because I wanted to be on the water any chance I could. And so that was a natural alignment with what I was interested in. So naturally it took off, and really just through, I think partly my personality kind of helped move along, whereas I'm very inclusive. The first night I was out on the lake, I spent all this money buying this house, had no money left, and I had a really a boat that probably shouldn't even have been on the lake. It was not very seaworthy. So I made it out. All my buddies left. I mean, they helped me move, and my move was probably 2 old couches from college and a couple end tables and a bed or whatever. But the guys came over. We had some drinks, and they took off. And I jumped on the boat. And I headed out to the lake. I'm like, hey, I got to meet some people, right? I knew nobody there. And I got about down to the dam, which is about 2.5 miles down the way. And I see this huge flotilla, and there's probably 16, 17 boats tied up. And I just kind of rolled in. I was like, hey, my name's Andrew. What's your name? How you doing? And the guys were cool. They looked at me, and there's, was lots of different couples, and, hell, there was even some kids out there like, hey, come on up, and so I tied up, and next thing you know, they called me college boy for a few years, because this was kind of a rural community. And I was so young, I was just out of school. So got to meet those guys. Well, during the course of the evening, I apparently invited everybody back to my house the next day for a cookout. Right. And, and I did that knowingly, because I wanted to meet people. I was like, hey, if you guys are around, come by. I didn't know everybody would show up. I was like, hey, I'm going to be here.
Well,
you guys
serious, huh?
Yeah. So, but that was another lesson. And we kind of really chronicle all this stuff with our neighborhood mayor program, where we teach others to do what we did in that community, and then we replicated it to other communities around the country. And it's really worked well. And that lesson there was, events are such a huge part of getting a community together, making deposits in people's lives, and getting to the point where you create some fabric between you and them. And then at that point, when they think about real estate, they think of you, because, naturally they know you, they like you, and they trust you. So after that happened, had this party the next day, and, I'm actually calling my mom going, oh my gosh, man, I know you and dad are coming up today. Can you stop by the store and grab some more hot dogs and hamburgers? Because we got a lot of people that are showing up here. And, I was just on the grill, and we had a good time. I met a ton of people. And from that moment on, I really built my business at the lake through that type of interaction, by, hosting events, by creating networks. We create private Facebook groups. We, do a ton of marketing. I actually opened up a satellite office right outside the lake. That's where I'm in right now. And it's more of a sales and information center. If you go in the conference room, it's all about the lake. It looks like you're going to Hilton Head or somewhere like that, where you walk in and it's all educational. So that really promoted that specific area for me to be an expert in that area. And therefore, when people identify with me in that market, hey, listen, I want to talk to the expert. And that's how we build our brand out there.
Now, how did you say, is it 1,600 homes? Did I hear you say?
Yeah, there's about there's 1,600 homes. There's a few more lots, but a lot of people have extra lots with their houses. But yeah, roughly 1,600 rooftops.
Now, and how many sales a year is it generally on the lakes, for the lake sale?
Well, there's 242 lakefront homes, and I generally will do, or generally speaking, there's about 10 to 12 lakefront sales that happen every year. And it's like any other community. Actually, it's a little bit better. It's a transient community, meaning there's people always coming and going, because it's centered. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, really. I mean, meaning you're 20 minutes to Miami University, Oxford, Ohio. You're 45 minutes to Dayton, 45 minutes to northern Cincinnati. So you're kind of in the middle of this area. And then Eaton, Ohio is a little town that's really a cool, small, typical Midwest town that's 3 miles up the road. So you have a little town, a lake right outside the town. And within that, so those people are constantly coming and going to the lake community, whereas maybe in town, it's a little bit more locals that are staying there. And because of that, the turnover was a little bit greater, or it was a good turnover. And, we would sell anywhere between 80 and 90 houses a year, or transactions a year, out of that community of 1,500 to 1,600 homes. When I first started there was only, 1,200 houses, but it's grown quite a bit over the years.
Okay. All right. And then do you feel like there was any kind of like magic tricks or anything that you did to really grasp this, or was it really just the interaction and the parties and the regular communications and just everything that you did, with the Facebook and marketing to them? I think specifically?
Looking back, it's pretty strategic in how we did it. I think the initial, the fundamentals of it are still the same. Like you said, the interaction, the events. So think about it like this. You have to have an audience, right? So the first thing that for anybody out there that's looking to dominate a neighborhood is you have to create an audience. Now, if you can, the audience obviously is the people who live there, but how are you going to get them on your media platform? How are you going to be able to touch them? Back in the day when there was only 3 network news stations, if you were Colgate, you could advertise on all 3 and you could catch 80% of the United States population. Now it's so splintered with, not only the 2,000 cable channels, and you got Netflix and streaming, and my kids are on, TikTok all day long, so they're not watching any of it. So right now it's a little bit more difficult. Well, similar challenges that you have with neighborhoods is that there's not just one neighborhood flyer that you can go be in that, can attract everybody in the neighborhood or can influence everybody in the neighborhood. So you have to start getting very creative. Back in the day, first thing I did was I spent a lot more money because, again, I was just out of college. I negotiated a 3-year deal with the back of the neighborhood newspaper, and I wanted the back page. And it was way more money than what I would ever wanted to spend. But that was one of the ways that I could really dominate that space, because I was the one on the back. And if you wanted to have your house on the back, you'd have a list with me and I'd put it on there. We also purchased the domain names, spent a little bit of money at the time to purchase like lockandgren.com. Lockandgren is the neighborhood name. So we spent the extra money trying to create a boundary or a barrier that other agents wouldn't want to do if they were just doing part-time work there. Like, you'd have to be all in to be able to do some of the things that we did. We hired aerial photography. This is before drones. I mean, some really cool aerial shots. It cost me like $3 or $4 grand to do. And that became my, essentially I kind of marketed it as almost like the logo of the lake. Whereas everywhere I went, even on the websites and everything, the lake was marketed with the image that I owned, to the point where the local bank, who I'm in a strip mall right out here outside the lake, there's a bank next door. They came to me and said, "Hey, Andrew, I would really like to use the image of the lake. Where do we get that?" And I'm like, "Well, you can use it, but unfortunately, I have the rights to it. So if you want it, I'll give it to you to put on your wall." And they put a big, 15 by, 20 mural on the wall of this photo. I just said, I just wanted compliments of Andrew Gaydosh and Associates in the top right corner. So everybody that walks in that bank sees me associated with that every day. So the little things like that if you can create a barrier of entry for other agents, or really show people that you're vested enough that you're going to make a big investment in the community, then they're going to start seeing you as an expert. And I think that part of it. So the websites, we didn't have community events. I mean, I actually, my first Facebook page was Lake Lockingren, right? It was a personal page because they didn't have community pages at the time. And we had almost 2,000 people that were my friends on that site, and I just had it with a different email. So just trying to kind of get everybody together to have an audience was, I guess, where I'm going with this. So if you can have the audience and then the media platform to speak to the audience, what are you going to say to them, right? So you can't get on there every day and say, "Oh, I just listed another house." Nobody cares if you just list another house unless you're looking to buy another home. You need to have other content. So we started developing events so that we could, in return, promote them to the audience on our platform. And that would always create one more thing to talk about that people really wanted to know about. And then while we were at the event, we would promote the event, live video streams. "Hey, look, you're missing out on the event. Come down to the Blues Fest. We're having a great time," or "Come to the fireworks," or whatever. Other people that help us sponsor, let's give them some FaceTime on the live podcast so they can get a little bang for their buck for their business that they're helping donate to your event. And then obviously the magic also is within the follow-up. After you do the event, you essentially following up, "Hey, this is a great deal." So within that event became the content. We're promoting it to the people that are within the platform, and it's just really symbiotic. So you can't have one without the other, and you just got to keep running them through. And then when you're at one event, you're promoting for the next event. And that's pretty much how we built that business there, along with anytime anybody ever needed anything in the community and they asked us, we were happy to give it to them, because you have to give before you receive. And that was part of our not really our strategy. We believed in the community, we loved it, and we wanted to help out. And people started to recognize that as well.
Now, am I wrong? Did you make a song?
We did, yes. We
You want to sing?
It was pretty cool. We call it the Lockingren theme song now, but it basically was a a song that I heard at Put in Bay, which you've been to Put in Bay with me before.
Yes.
A local band that had a really good, matter of fact, it was one of their number one songs, and they had some popularity to it. So I essentially approached them and asked if I could commission them to use their, I guess, their intellectual rights, but I was going to rewrite the song with my words, essentially. So rewrote the songs, basically told the story about why you would want to move to Lockengren. Kind of forget about your worries. It's 5 o'clock. You're moving. You're going to the lake. All those kind of things that we all want to hear. And
Right.
It's called Lockengren Waves, and it's a really cool, catchy tune. And it kind of took off. And then we played on our website, and the ladies groups. I remember one year when I first did it, one of the ladies groups, I think it was the Garden Club or something, the community called and said, "Hey, Andrew, we printed out your lyrics and we're all singing it at our event today. Is that okay?" I'm like, "Absolutely, that's okay." So, but again, you own the rights to it. It was very finite rights that we purchased just for promotion of Lake Lockengren. These guys from Cleveland would never ever hear the song ever because it's not going to go beyond local. And it was affordable to do so, and it, at the same time, had a pretty good barrier of entry.
Now, did you do any kind of mass? Were you on the radio or TV or anything like that? Any kind of mass media stuff
So
too?
we didn't. No, I have not. And part of it was there really wasn't a great outlet, right, to get to where one station or one radio. Like, we were kind of splintered because Lockengren was a bedroom community for people who lived in Cincy, Indy, Richmond, Indiana, and Dayton. So they were kind of all going their own ways, listening to their own things. That's why really creating our own media platform, which was through Facebook and through some of our marketing. I mean, we still do old school. Once a month you're going to receive something in the mail as far as a postcard, promoting what we're doing next or what's good for the community. Every holiday we're doing something cool. So it's like at this time of year, we're doing a light up Lockengren contest where we're doing that in each one of our neighborhoods. And I should say that, we're talking a lot about Lockengren because that was the first one, and it kind of grew organically. I think Harley's been involved with me long enough to know that was kind of the first initial step. And then we looked back and everybody was saying, "Hey, Andrew, can you help us do what you did?" And we started really documenting all the things we did and understood what worked and what didn't work, or really or tried to understand, because there was a lot of things we just did and it didn't really matter much. But after you really start to examine it, it's like, wow, that is a big bang for the buck. We then were able to take that and duplicate it into a neighborhood in Dayton, which is about equal size. And we're up to about 20% market share there. And, just doing the same things that we do, the events, the promotion, everything we do at Lockengren, we just rebrand it with Yankee Trace, have a little bit of a spin on it. A lot of times I'm at one for the first couple hours and I'm running out to the lake to finish up an event. Like, for example, we did a Halloween party where, and this is something really inexpensive that everybody could do, is in the middle of the neighborhood, we just set up a big tent and, we had hot dogs and hamburgers and gave away treats and that kind of thing. We brought a photographer in to do like mini photo shoots for the kids with their parents. Every 10 minutes, a new one can sit down. Well, we had 3 simultaneous events going on at once. One of them is Jason, who you know pretty well, one of my partners in the business. He has a neighborhood that he is doing the neighborhood mayor program in, and doing really well with it. And he's just basically implementing exactly what we do in the other ones. We call them mini mayors, and they're out there just hammering it out. And the development of it's already there, the marketing of it's already there. It's just rebranded and put a different name on it, and we're off to the races.
That's great. So now you have this just proven and repeatable just system and program, really, where one can just come into a community and build their own community, right? Just become their own neighborhood mayor and get 20+% market share out of, right? I mean, that's amazing.
And that's really what the goal is. And for me, with the newer neighborhood, I've tried to not I try to make it so it's scalable. So I wasn't as Lockengren's somewhat unique in that it's isolated a little bit more, and it's got borders and gated community. Whereas some of these other neighborhoods are pretty open and they've got some legacy agents that have been there for a long time. So it's harder to kind of take market share, but we're slowly but surely doing that. And it has definitely been easier because the things that we're doing in the other neighborhoods are things that don't take a tremendous amount of bandwidth from me. I can show up, have the events coordinators now scaling because we've got 2 or 3. So we hired an events coordinator now. It's like owning a McDonald's franchise. You own 1, you're in there every day. When you own 5, you can hire somebody to manage all 5, and there's enough money off each one to kind of help pay for that. Same deal with these neighborhoods. The bigger we scale with it, the easier it gets. But we have 3 different programs, or 3 different levels to the program. We've got our neighborhood mayor program in general, and the 3 different levels are your mayor candidate. That would be somebody that's looking to get into a neighborhood, someone that doesn't have a lot of cash yet. Maybe they're starting in the business, or they're not making a lot of money within that community, so they can't invest back in it. So we're teaching them how to do things that maybe a little bit more sweat equity, lower cost items, piggybacking more on other people's events. So that's the mayor candidate. And then we got the first term mayor program, which is somebody that's got 10% market share and willing to invest a little bit more, willing to get a little bit more creative. And then you got your incumbent mayor, which is kind of what we do now. We're at that level with Lockengren and with Yankee, where we're actually going in and, doing big time events like fireworks shows that are, bringing in 15,000 people and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
So you'll actually do this as a program for other agents, just in other areas. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah. So we're actually we've helped a lot of folks within our EXP organization, and certainly we'll offer that, extend that up to anybody that you have that can help you, Harley. We've kind of just been doing it as a leadership role within our team and our organization. And I do have a neighborhood mayors private Facebook group. So if anybody wants to join that, you can join it. It's neighborhoodmayors.com. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Neighborhood Mayor on Facebook, mayors, plural. And now we're taking it and actually creating basically modules, just kind of like what GoGo's doing, whereas we're actually able to have a true course that outlines it, that offers a little bit more support and assistance. If you're like, hey, look, I really need you to break this thing down for me. Okay, great. We've got a level where we can kind of help you out with that. So that's going to be coming online next year.
Wow, that's good to know. Okay, all right. Well, I'll be sure and put that in. So have people just go to that private Facebook group.
Yeah, probably the best thing to do is just
in.
go to Neighborhood Mayors private Facebook group, and I think there's only one. And yeah, you just ask to be part of it, and we'll let you in, and you can kind of check out. And what we do there is, it's kind of just a backstage pass to events that we're doing. We'll do a quick little promo. Hey, this is us setting up at the Halloween event, or this is us doing the Kona Ice event for the kids after school, just so they can kind of see what we're doing. And it's just another way to bring agents together.
Okay. Well, that's really cool. So you got all this set up, and you're humming along, doing 300 transactions a year. Then you hear about EXP. So tell me, like, why, I mean, clearly this is a really successful operation. I mean, things are going good. I mean, agents would just die to have something like this, right? Like this is really, really a good thing. Why would you do any kind of disruption to that? Like what, tell me about any kind of challenges you might've had, prior to it that, EXP might've answered for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, well, you probably are a little privy to this more so than most, but for those of you that don't know, I mean, these mastermind groups were filled with some of the top agents in the country, and 30 of us were some of the top agents in this particular mastermind, NAEA mastermind. And every year, you had some agents that were doing thousands of transactions a year in there, and here I'm doing 300, thinking, oh, I'm big time, but yet there's others doing tons more, and yet there was a common thread. Every year we had issues that within that model, there were issues, and the issues were the attrition. So you basically would get your team to a point where it was humming along, and you're introducing, some really good agents, you're training them up really, really strong. They basically are mimicking you. And then at some point, after they're working with clients that you introduce them to and you help them sell, they created relationships with those people. And 3 to 5 years later, when those people are ready to sell, guess who they're calling? They're calling your agents. They're not calling you as the team leader. And I think some point where you're adding so much value to your team, you have to do a split with them. They can't work there for free, right? So at some point, some of the individuals, and I think it happens a lot, is they get wooed by an opportunity from another company. So Keller Williams calls or Remax calls and is like, hey, Jason, you're Andrew's right hand guy and you're doing $15 million, and man, you're awesome. How would you like to come over here? We'll pay you X amount of dollars, or we'll give you a 70-30 split, or 80-20 split, or whatever that number is. And I think a lot of times the opportunity is very enticing. In fact, the number one agent in Better Homes and Gardens brand, he does about 600 transactions a year, was on my team. He was a great agent. We helped him get started, and he'll tell you today, say, hey, I wouldn't be in the business if it wasn't for you kind of helping me along. Well, when he was ready to go, he graduated on, and guess what? He was now my competitor. And that, I'm happy for him. I feel like, and I truly am, he's doing a nice job. But at the same time, wouldn't it have been nice if we could have aligned ourselves together and worked together in the future? So what happened was, I was in this room, and every year it was the same thing happening. I'd see grown men and women crying, like literally in tears, going, I thought I had it figured out, and I just lost 30% of my production. I guess I'm going to have to get back into sales. And what we really kind of distilled it down to was the opportunity. If I were to sell agents a piece of my business, of Andrew Gaydosh and Associates, what is that really worth? It's not really worth a ton if I'm not involved in it every day. And are they going to be able to retire on the sale of Andrew Gaydosh and Associates someday? And the answer is no. Even some of the biggest brokerages in our town with 400 agents, 500 agents, I mean, that broker, when they sell, might get $2 or $3 million, but there's not enough money to divvy up to all their agents. That's why they don't offer any of the stock options in their company. And it's because that's their game plan at the end: build it up big enough. Hopefully their debt's no more than 2 million, and they sell for 3, they get to keep $1 million, and they can ride off into the sunset when they're 75 years old. Well, that was the model. And really what we looked at before EXP came along, Al Stasek and I were sitting down, and we were basically breaking down, going, okay, how are we going to give these guys an opportunity to work alongside us, to continue to create wealth like we're creating, yet they're kind of living not paycheck to paycheck, but they're kind of on the upward start of their career. So they're having a hard time buying rental properties when they need to take that money and pay their taxes. It's a hard business to create wealth in. It's a good business to make commission in. Well, we're seeing this, and it's pretty common across the board, that agents have a hard time creating wealth to the point where they retire. I don't know about you, but I've said this a million times. I've not been to many retirement parties for agents.
Yep.
Been to a lot of funerals, but not a lot of retirement parties. And
if there was one, you would throw it.
I would. I'm going to. It's going to be big.
Right.
So where we're at with that is, we started to look at creating an real estate investment trust that we were going to essentially own. Al was going to own one for his team. I was going to own one for my team. And then we were going to take 5% of the value of that and allow our agents, when they close transactions, to take 5% of their commission and buy into that real estate investment trust, so that they could then have equity in a tangible asset that's long-term, that would be worth $1 million when they're ready to retire. And we were pretty much ready to go. And then Al calls me and says, hey, Andrew, have you heard about this EXP? I'm like, EX what? Huh? Nope. Never heard of that. We're all going independent. We've been doing it. Like, we're all in, right? We're not switching gears now. And Kinder calls, and he's like, man, Gaydosh, he said, I just spent a couple $1 million on launching my own national brand, partners. And he said, help me, walk me through this. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? And we talked it through, and, with Al as well. And we're like, man, this is a no brainer, enough for Kinder to take a 180 pivot and forget everything he just put into, which was a significant capital improvement. And for me to say, hey, man, I am all in. It took me 30 seconds. So I was booking a flight to Fort Lauderdale the next day so that I could get to Lauderdale for that weekend. And I think, were you there that weekend? Were you there the first?
No, I was at the one in, I think we were in Texas.
Okay. Yeah. So, it was funny because I didn't know who was all going, but there was like 3 of our mastermind guys. We all booked. We didn't even know we were booking because we all wanted to check it out. And it just so happened that the convention was that weekend. So we roll in, we look at it, and we're like, man, this is the most amazing opportunity. to check all the boxes of the challenges that we were having with the traditional real estate model. And man, it's changed our lives. I mean, we really can't say enough about how, not only when I say our lives, I mean that specifically the agents on our team's lives, the people around us. That, I mean, it's an incredible opportunity to do exactly what you're doing that you love to do, and that's sell real estate. You can be more profitable at selling it because of the nature of how the structure is of EXP, meaning you can keep more of your commission than most areas. And then you have two ancillary opportunities. One is the stock opportunities, which has been amazing. I've got 3 or 4 guys on my team that have over $300,000 worth of stock in the company, and we've only been here 3.5 years.
Wow.
And these guys have not ever had the opportunity to save that kind of money yet. And then you have the revenue share, which is the third opportunity that really answers the question of when you asked me about, why did you sell the Remax franchise you had? And I said, well, I had to buy another one to scale into a new market. And then I had to have new quotas, new expenses. That's the beauty of EXP. I can expand into all kinds of markets across the world by association with agents. And I don't have to buy franchises. I don't have to be their broker. I don't have to know the local laws. I can basically give them all the stuff I enjoy doing. And that's the mentorship. That's helping them grow their business. I don't have to worry about, are they compliant? Are they doing the right things with the state? What's going on in their individual, deals that they're working. They don't call me unless they have a big time problem. And I'm able to kind of help them. And likewise, guys like you out there in the business, and Jay and Mike and Al and everybody else are willing to help me when I have those issues. So the collaboration has just been amazing. And that's where they say, with EXP, you can be a broker without being the broker. You can have all the benefits of it without the negative side effects. And for limited upfront capital investment, it's crazy. I don't understand why everybody's not here, although I think everybody's coming, and it's certainly growing like that. But when I do look at anybody that's serious in the business, it's just such a no-brainer.
What's the buzzword right now? Do the math.
Yeah.
Just do the math.
Yeah.
So and speaking of that, I mean, okay. So you said you have a couple agents that are like 300K plus in stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a question on that. So is that stock, and you may not know, but did they buy that with commissions that they were generated, or did they use outside money, to get that stock?
I do know for a fact that in all 3 of those particular cases, none of them bought any exterior money bringing it in. Every bit of it was purchased with the 5% stock,
with the 5%
revenue that they earned. They basically, instead of us paying Remax 5% off the top, we basically paid ourselves to buy stock at a 10% discount. And then, so part of it was that. And then the other part was the awards that they were given every time they attracted another agent. They got stock in the company. Every first transaction of the year, they got stock in the company. So there's 4 different ways. There's 4 ways to earn stock in EXP, and they have capitalized on most of those.
So just by doing the activities, working as an agent, basically, right? Doing the things that they normally would do, and maybe slightly different, but just doing the things that they do, they're actually making more money. Because I can almost guarantee they haven't paid EXP $300,000 in 3 years. They didn't pay them $100,000 a year, right? So they're making more than they ever paid. They're making over 100% back. I mean, just in terms of overall revenue.
That's the thing about it is, I was talking to a Coldwell Banker agent the other day, and he's got a pretty sweet deal. And I said, tell me, where are you at? And he's like, well, I can't tell you the definite details because I'm sure he's a big hitter, so they brought him on. I'm sure there was some opportunities for free rent and stuff like that. But he's like, well, I'm kind of working here for free. And I'm like, well, what's better than free? And that's when they're paying you, right? So, and the light bulb kind of went off, and they said, well, what do you mean? How are they paying you? Well, they're paying you when they give you $16,000 back in stock. They're paying you with the revenue share, with the 10% that you're immediately earning on every dollar that you spend on, the stock, because you're getting it at a 10% discount. So all these things are why you have so many crazy, EXP crazed agents that are so excited about it, because it's the first time in their careers that they've actually found the model that is as good as what they would hoped it would have been. And that's why they're really excited about it.
And that's really interesting too, that you touch. I just think it's probably one of the benefits of EXP that is just really underlooked at is just that ability to expand to other markets, like you were saying too. I mean, and I know I'm licensed in 3 states, just in DC, just because, you don't have to be, but a lot of agents are. And so it's just a lot of compliance there. And I also have, business over in Washington State. I'm going to go down to Texas and Florida next year. And I just know that, like, hey, so we're a national broker, right? Like normally you'd have to pay, what would you have to do? You'd have to pay like different franchise fees, different E&Os, different, different compliances. It's just completely different offices in almost any company I know of anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
you'd have to be the owner of each one of those deals. You'd have to purchase franchises. You'd have to do everything individually, or you'd have to have different caps with each one of those other brokerages.
That's that too, right?
It's funny. I was talking to a gal that.
Wait, say that one. Well, hold on. Say it one more time. So, because it's one cap, right?
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah, that's
for
the beauty.
any offices, any areas that you have one cap. I mean, that's huge for people that are interested in doing that. I mean, you don't have to, but if you
crazy.
are,
yeah. I mean, if I had to go work for Coldwell Banker in Destin, Florida, if I wanted to set up shop there, I'd have to, go work for a Coldwell Banker agent or a brokerage there, and I would have to pay them enough money until I capped whatever their cap is, 32,000 or what. I don't know what their cap would be, but
right.
I think that's the average across the board for Coldwell Banker. And and then if I was here in Dayton doing the same thing, well, that's owned by a different company. I'd have to make sure that they were paid for the value that they were giving me, which was a different cap. And in EXP, it's just like we have one mothership that covers all of us all over everywhere. And you're doing one cap, and it's one accounting. It's brilliant. That's all I have to say about
it. And now we're in. Last number I heard was 21. Unless you heard something else, 21 different countries.
Yeah,
and I just say that just because and counting, because they're very aggressive about going after these different countries and just expanding, worldwide, which is pretty cool. One of the agents, on my, in my team is over in Germany right now. We have Germany open. It was pretty cool. So you can just all this opportunity everywhere. And when I was just down at EXPCon, a bunch of people were up from Canada and Mexico and South America areas, it's just everywhere now. So
it's an amazing company. It kind of reminds me when I was 23, 24 years old and involved with Remax at such a young age. They were just going into other countries, and the model was a unique brand. And back then you didn't have 100% concept. So it was revolutionizing the real estate business, and it was really good for many years. And then Keller Williams came along, and they had a different twist, and I think they added some value. And then boom, EXP comes along and totally disrupts the market, and it's just blown away. I mean, if you think about, I was telling a gal that's thinking about coming over. She's a fashion model. Matter of fact, she's in a couple of movies right now. And, she literally had a boutique that she would get paid to rep other people's, products. She was an influencer.
Okay.
And I was like, listen, imagine this. If I could tell you that Andrew Gaydosh is sponsored by Adidas. Oh, you probably can't see that over here. Yep. This is an Adidas shirt. It's got my logo on it, but yeah, there it is, Adidas shirt. So I'm sponsored by Adidas, and I go to work every day and I sell real estate, and I'm doing what I do every day, selling real estate. But then I turn around and Adidas cuts me a big fat check at the end of the month for my sponsorship of wearing their gear every day to all my listing appointments or all my stuff. Kind of, it's free money, right? And that's where, if you're with EXP, you have two other revenue sources that are basically like free money that you're able to earn by doing the same thing you're doing already. And it kind of clicked for her. She's like, oh man, I get it now. That makes a lot of sense. And it's very, very true in that we all need, I think Tony Robbins says everybody needs at least 4 or 5 different sources of revenue. to create wealth. I mean, this is 3 of them right here. You join
Right.
EXP, you get on board, 3 sources right away, pick up some rental properties, do a couple of things with your stockbroker, boom, you're there and ready to go. And I think that it's the missing piece that a lot of us agents have not had. And there's a reason why the retention rate is so high. Yeah, there's people that join EXP that want to get rich quick, and some of the early adapters, they didn't want to, they missed the point. They were getting in it because they didn't want to sell real estate.
Mm-hmm.
This is a company that's built to succeed for those people that are really, really good agents, or aspiring really good agents, or hustlers that want to not only sell real estate, but want to create wealth at the same time. And if with that in mind, the platform is amazing. And I think that's why it's taken off so well. And those people will never leave. I mean, my guys on my team, they're not going to walk away. Not that they would walk away because they could sell that stock tomorrow, but they know what the opportunity is. That opportunity is so great that I don't think they're going to leave. And if they do leave my team, like the agent that left, that's one of the number one agents in the country with transactions, probably would have never left the brand. So guess what would have happened? He would have left Andrew Gaydosh and Associates, gone to Andrew Gaydosh and Associates powered by EXP, gone to just EXP as an independent agent. And guess what? We're still in alignment. We're still benefiting. We're still collaborating. He's just working in a different role. And that's really where the magic is for a lot of these EXP agents that are around the country.
Now, and I think that some of us, kind of the migration of our mastermind that we had was a lot of us were at bigger commercialized shops like the Remaxes of the world and whatnot, right? And then we sort of got into doing independent brokers. We were all kind of independent brokers for a while. Right. And then some of us were like, maybe we should just, have, like a lot of us had like little team brokers, but then you could just join the brokerage just as an outside non-team member too. Right. And some of us did that for a while. This, I feel like is sort of like that, but you now have the added stock components. You have the rev share components. You have all the synergy of everything, and like group buys and health insurance, worldwide presence, etc. On top of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it feels like to me, because like you said, I mean, I've had the same thing happen to me, man. I mean, like top producing agents, just next year they're gone. It hurts, right?
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts, especially if it's a large part of your business too. It can really.
You feel vulnerable. I think if you polled, 10 agents that have been in the business more than 10 years, every one of them is going to say, yeah, I really want to get out of production, or I'd like to minimize my production. Well, when you do that, you're very vulnerable, because as a producing agent is one of the most profitable profit centers of your team. And when you step away, you have to fill that with other people. And if those people leave, guess what? You're left with a big void. And that's a problem. Now, when you have revenue share coming in at $15,000, $20,000 a month, that these checks just show into your mailbox, or you have stock sitting there that hey, worst case scenario, I got a couple $1 million worth of stock there. It changes the way that you think about your vulnerability, and you can attract agents that are excited to be with you.
Have you ever done any of the Tony Robbins business masteries or anything like that? Gone to any of those?
Yeah, I've not physically gone, but I've watched the CDs and back in the day when he first started, and the videos and the streaming and things like that. But yeah.
Okay. I just, because what you said it really resonated with me too. I was in Amsterdam. This was 2 or 3 years ago. I was in Amsterdam. Tony Robbins business mastery. One of the things he put up on the wall was like all the multiples of different types of companies in different organizations one could own, right? And the one that we're in, which is just like a B2C service, the lowest. Like it's worth the money in the bank. I mean, it's a one. Some of them were like multiples of like 7, 10, 15, things like that, right? And I have this, like, it was just so eye-opening too. I'm like what? And I know this to be true because I've actually, gone through, not a lot of people have actually sold a real estate team or firm, and I have bought and sold, so and I can tell you, yes, it's worth the money in the bank. So that's
if you're
limit.
lucky. I mean, you're right. and they say, hey, you can come and work for the new company that's buying you out, and you can stay there for 5 years for free. And that's how they pay you
Yeah.
back. They don't even give you the cash up front.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just all of it, it just took a while because, we're just so programmed, from before, build the team, do this. And then just through that series for my own journey was just like opening my eyes to some of that stuff. And just from what you said, and what some of the bigger multiples were what I call them is the subscription income companies. And some of them weren't that sexy, it's just like, oh, you just make these little checks and stuff. But
Yeah.
man, those are the ones that are really worth something,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we're getting with the EXP, right? With that component of it, and not just the stocks, but just the continual rev share stream.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it worth something. And
Like I said, there's a reason why people are so dang excited about this company. It's not that they're money hungry or anything. They're just excited in general. They've seen what they wanted. They wanted a platform that didn't exist, and when one was created, it's like, wow, this is exactly what I would have created had I had the foresight or the ingenuity or the technical skills or whatever. Because remember, we're a technology company. I
yeah,
mean,
right,
we're not just a brokerage company, and that's why partly we're valued so high is because you own a lot more when you're buying into our company, and that's where people just get really excited. They want to share the news, and if you really look at it, and you're not closed. I mean, my concern with a lot of people is that they come in with a closed mind and they don't really understand what they're saying no to. And then you got those people that are always open. And, like Warren Buffett said, the most expensive thing you can have in life is a closed mind. Those people that are truly open to say, okay, yeah, I got a good gig going here, but maybe there's something better. We'll explore it. We'll take a look at it. And with an open mind, not just saying you're going to listen, but truly hear what they're saying. And it's pretty magical. I mean, I'm excited to be, partnering with you, Harley. That's the cool thing about it. Every time you do well, it does well for me and you. And it's just an exciting business to be part of.
That's right. And because that was always the question we wanted to answer, and how, Jay put it, how do we take all our little fires, put them together, and make one big fire? I mean, we're always just trying to answer that question.
Right.
Like, what, how do we do this? And
Yeah.
took a few stabs at it, and here we are.
Sure.
So it's
Crazy.
awesome.
I mean, you think about the capital investment that he poured into trying to create that environment with his partner franchise. I mean, wow, that was a commitment. And for him to pivot and turn like he did, I mean, obviously he's happy he did now because of the success, but it's testament to understanding the opportunity, I think.
Really is too. And well, hey, thanks, Andrew. I really appreciate your time today, and just kind of going through this whole story and this journey and everything. It's super helpful for me. I know it's going to be helpful for other people out there as well. So
I was happy to help. Glad to catch up. And if there's ever anything I can do, just let me know. Okay.
All right, will do. So everybody out there, if you are interested in neighborhood mayor program, I'll put it down in the description part, where to go for this Facebook group, and then say hi to Andrew, and just remember, do the math.
You got it. See you guys.
All right. Talk to you later.